Trident A-Range board was developed in the early 1970s by Trident Studios and went on to record classic records by Queen, David Bowie, The Police, Rush, and others. Yui modeled a channel from one of these ultra-rare desks to create the Trident A-Range EQ powered plugin. This is a rock band recording consisting of 21 tracks, and I've used the Trident A-Range EQ on the entire mix, so I'm basically mixing on a Trident A-Range console. I also use some other UAD plugins. The Trident EQ has 2 mid-range bands and 2 shelving bands, as well as high and low-pass filters. One unique thing about the filters is you can press in more than one button at a time, and the filter corner frequency goes lower than the lowest of the 3 settings, as you can see in the graphs. On the guitars, I needed to shape the mid-range so they fit in the mix better. The bass guitars are handling the lowest frequencies, so I rolled off the low end on both guitars. On this guitar, I did a lot of experimenting with the interaction of the bands, which resulted in some unorthodox EQing. For example, I'm boosting pretty hard at 2K, but if I switch the frequency of the other mid-range band between 3 and 9K, there is a pretty audible difference, even though I have left the gain at 0. You can see that in this graph here, as well as hear it in the track. On the other guitar, I wanted to have scooped mids and a lot of low and high end. I'm boosting a lot around 150 Hz, and also at 15K Hz, but I have the 15K and 12K low pass switches in. On the guitar solo, I really wanted it to poke out in the mix, and the track was pretty muddy. So mid-range boosting at 2K, as well as some high shelf boost at 12K, and a high pass at 50 Hz did the trick. I also added a Roland Dimension D. There were quite a few double vocal tracks, so I EQ'd them differently to get the effect I wanted. I compressed them with LA3As and the Neve 33609, and then I sent those tracks to another track with a Dimension D, LA2A compressor, and another Trident EQ, and mixed that underneath to add a glossy sheen to the tracks.
Thousands were and thousands gone and thousands more are getting on. It's day, it's night, it's fall, it's spring, and doesn't mean a single thing. Body but nobody, nobody but a body. Shadow in the corner, breeze in the hall. Space taker, baby maker, baby boomer, body but nobody, nobody at all.
Now I'm going to work on a couple of the drum tracks. Starting with the kick drum, I did some heavy boosting with the low shelf and high mid-range band, as well as a big cut in the low mids to get the track sounding full. I also added an EQ to the entire drum bus to pump up the low and high frequencies a bit. Finally, I used an EL7 Fatso Senior to compress the drums a bit and add a little harmonic distortion and some tranny saturation. Now let's hear the drums with and without any EQ or compression plugins. In this session, I used 14 Trident A-Range EQs, as well as various other UAD plugins. Now let's hear the entire mix with and without the UAD plugins.
Doesn't mean I'll see